Pasha Paroh, Finance 7. Thank you for tuning. We back. My man Michael, system analyst, back with us, artist, author extraordinaire. You see the background he got going on there. So, Michael, we've been talking about systems last few episodes that we spent together. The good, the bad, the ugly of systems, right? Because ultimately, even though the system has this trauma-related issues, it is providing a service.
It should. It is the question. And we talked about, tending to a garden. When the effort to tending a garden becomes more strenuous than actually the rewards of having a garden, then having a garden is not worth it. So when we are like 1,000 people, like you and I tending to a garden, great. We don't even need to make a calendar. We can say, hey, you want to go today? Okay, I don't go. Go tomorrow, whatever. But if you have 1,000 people going to that garden, the effort to doing a scheduling and all this stuff, and who did what, and when the garden is, it's just making rules and regulations. The effort is better to let it go. And I think we don't have to gauge, because we don't have the awareness that we created something that should give us safety, like a tribe, right? Like every system is created to create safety and security. So we live in a gated, let's say we live in a gated community, not for keeping the riffraff out, so we are safer. We're safer. Obviously, one of the things is that people want to come in, but who is the creator? The people that are afraid of people coming in, or the people that want to come in? So it's not even defined who is the problem, the people outside or inside. But you create a system, you create law that people feel safe. But when law becomes so complicated that, for example, people with means, it doesn't apply the same than a person on the street. It's just when systems are not representing humans in a way of just, benevolent, helpful, then why we need system? We created them. It's not like I can say, okay, don't like you, Pasha, I'm gonna shoot you. A system we created, nobody dies if we alter the system to work. And they're talking all over about ethical financial principles, because we talked before, all systems are based on even religion and even nonprofits on financial principles. And I think you wanted to hook in today into networks and what's the difference between a network and what's the difference between a system.
It's a great segue there, because what happens is when you look at the system, we can define that in many different things or systems.
Yeah.
Like you got the body. We sitting here in our physical bodies.
Yeah,
it's a system.
Exactly.
You got the heart, talks to the brain talks to the liver. It's a system.
Yeah.
And in each one of those components, right? Whether it's the financial system or the body, okay?
Yeah.
Once you link multiple systems together, now you have a network, is what they call it. And I actually was kind of impressed, because I went, everybody know me. I went to go pull the etymology of the word network, and network is not in the etymology dictionary. You would actually have to physically combine net and work to get some sort of meaning from it. But what the net part, obviously the casting or the trawling, as a noun, right? But as an adjective, net actually means clean, pure, bright, fine, elegant, worthy, etc., stuff like that, right? So I thought it was interesting, because when you merge the systems or connect them, you form a network. So now, whether it's pure good or pure evil, or clean killing, or whatever. That's what happens when you get a network. You kind of amplify the purpose and the focus, which probably would in turn have an amplification of the trauma effects. Would you think? What's your take on that?
I think what you said was correct, that our body is a network. It's a synergistic, but this is synergistic according to nature, according to humanity. That wasn't created by a system. And a system network is when a big network, that's what my observation is, when a big network, for example, wants to have something executed, they use another network, for example, another system like the police, the fire brigade, another system, a religion, to do the dirty job that they can't do, or do the stuff that they are, because every system is very limited. It's not like humans. I mean, the liver does, I think, 20,000 functions. There's no system that can even come close to that. And it does it always right for you, for me, for everybody, unless you have a genetic defect. So, what I think, and both are the system as well as network, are system definitions. It's as you know, words are guidelines. They're not absolutes, and they get us in the direction of wisdom and awareness. And I think I think more as when I look at networks, this is my perception. I'm not saying I'm right. When I look at networks, that it looks more humans. It's more human related. So actually, you and me are a network, right? But we don't have. But it's not defined. What are we? What is our purpose? What function? You and me are a network, and tomorrow we might paint together or do music together. It's not defined what we do right now. We are a network of humans that choose together to create a podcast episode. But tomorrow, and in a network, I think it's a different word with companies. I think, when AT&T bought, what is it, Laverne, the computer or something, but when they merged in the things, I don't know. This is different. It's a subdivision. I think networking in a system, and I learned it. I think part was of you, because we got to see system words or human words. And when I look at this is subdivision, or we include that, and all of a sudden it becomes the big stuff. I can't remember anything, but let's say if Nike takes over some company, and all of a sudden that is the other, or
you mean just
some
like size or scale?
Yeah.
Conglomerate?
Not scale. They do a job. They see, like Amazon does a lot of this. They say, oh, we want to do Med1, insurance, health insurance. They bought Ring, that other thing. And they just suck because it fits in their network. It fits in what they're selling. And they say, hey, that would be great if we had that too. I know they had subcontracted out delivery systems, and then they created their own because no delivery could do it. But they could have also say, oh, Pasha, you have a great delivery system. Can we buy you out? And so they buy you out, they absorb you into their structure.
Right.
Exact acquisition. Yeah, mergers and acquisitions, exactly. And I think network in a sense is always networking, humans to human. It's the human to human contact. That's how I perceive it. I don't see, obviously you work for this company, but you network with other people that work for other companies. But I still think network more a word for humans, versus merger and acquisition is the word for in the system. And we have to separate this. We have to start learning, dividing. Are we now talking in the context of systems, or are we talking right now in the contents of humans, which I find our misunderstandings and a lot of going on, like in politics, always going on is because we mix and the human system relevance or value and the system value and the relevance, and we mix those two because ultimately we need to always focus on human and nature, and the system need to support human and nature. Why? To expand our human potential, because we are why system function, why they even exist. So if you don't lift the human potential, it happens. What happens now is you submit to a system. 80,000 people dying for 4 months in Ukraine. Stuff happens, and nobody even is conscious. It's not about people wouldn't rebel. I don't want people rebel, but people are not even conscious of that. They say, "What are we doing here? Why are we poisoning people's water? Why are we hurting these people? Why are we segregating races? Why we are segregating sexuality? Why are we segregating gender? What are we doing?" Exactly. Yeah, that helps perhaps the system. That is great for a system that you say it's a woman and man. Perhaps that is great. I don't think it is, but because we're all humans, it doesn't matter.
So man-made systems mimic human and nature. Yes. Like the motor in the car mimics the process of the digestive system. It's actually how it works.
Yeah.
So now I think that's important because I think that's part of why humanity finds it so hard to detach from these man-made systems, because they're actually not attached to the system, because people, their projection issues, good and bad, is only going to allow them to see themselves and other things, right? So they are looking at the humanity that they are seeing, or the organicness of the system, because most systems, when properly designed or attempted, at least, they mimic nature or human stuff, right? So they're stuck in the connection of what they appear to be the humanity of it. And then the words, I have to say, they have a very precise value and a very exact value, despite the slang and how we use words differently today than what they may originally mean, which is a whole nother conversation when you're dealing with the law of attraction and why people ask for one thing and get something else. And but the words are a code, just like the DNA, just like all the other natural laws and systems. It's a code, and you input the code into the system, you get an output. Mm-hmm. So now when you're talking about the acquisitions and mergers of businesses and humanities and groups, right? It's because they're trying to input those codes to get the output to align with their purpose, internal and external, and their agendas, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But let's not forget, on the other side of systems are also humans. So what I see often is that we condemn the system and not seeing that actually another person created that system, right? I mean, right?
I like that.
No, we forget that. We forget, the IRS or this company or the Social Security and all these system and the politics, the Republicans, the Democrats, anything horrible, right? Mm-hmm. But it's so easy to vent against a system, which it's like you're yelling at it. You're yelling at your car. It doesn't. Why not saying why you're yelling at the car, and what do you want to change, and then change it, or talk to the person that designed the car, not blame the car for your misfortune. It makes no sense. It's so because we are because see, this is the DNA draft. I always say we are social animals, human animals, and we are part of nature, and our DNA says, you guys got to get together because you experience your own power. like my power, for example, if you experience yourself with Pasha, for example, or Pasha experiences himself with me, we create something that neither I or you could create that well. We could create it, but not that well. It's more, and that shows you, that's a reflection. It's also when you fall in love with somebody, that you experience, it's not the other person that is so great, but you resonate in togetherness. And when the puzzle fits, even if it's only for a week, you fall in love for a week, you feel how that feels when it works. And therein you feel your DNA is satisfied and gives you that emotional jolt or whatever. And it's like, together you guys are better, you know, and to this moment. And that feels like you're falling in love. But it is not the other person who does that. It is the other person and you creating a vibration that feels good. And that's why you're doing things, you know, that's why we do our podcasts. That's why we buy a car. That's why we do anything, you know. We say, okay, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel right, you know. And obviously the strongest thing is when you always, if you want to, the Ferrari does never do what you do, for example, or I do for you. The Ferrari makes you happy for a short time, you know, you're pimping around, but basically it doesn't do anything, you know. It's very short time. All these gratifications, the system gratifications that say, you're going to buy that suit, you're going to feel all the chicks are going to be crazy. It's again, it's what you said. It's selling you humanity because you should, you know, chicks should like you because you're just you, not because you have a, not because you trick him into liking you.
Yeah,
you know, yeah,
that's so true. And you know, you brought up a lot of good points here. I wanna. Wow. So first of all, thank you again for being here. I appreciate your views, and you know, I think that's a big issue. Like you said, tricking people into liking you, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize they're tricking themselves into liking themselves.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Well, when cultures are oppressed, no matter what culture it is,
exactly,
in history, the typical rules of survival become the mothers teach the males to be strong and focused on work, right? We're not going to say unintelligent, but they teach them not to be too smart so that they can survive because they don't want them to get smart enough where they become a problem, and then they'll get killed.
Yep.
The women are taught to be the wittier ones, right?
Yeah.
And when you fast forward into like this system today, they trap everybody because now all they got to do is say, oh, well, you need to not worry about anything in life, but just get this quote unquote what you think is money, right? Because you got to have the money for people to like you. So then you chase the money, or not everybody, but these people chase the money because they're tricking themselves into liking themselves because of what the money can bring. And now I'll tie that into the Ferrari. The problem I see with, let me say the opportunity. The opportunity is this. There's nothing wrong with having a Ferrari.
No, nothing,
If
guys.
you
I agree
want
with
to
you.
go 200 miles an hour, buy a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Don't buy a Ferrari because you think people are going to like you for having a Ferrari.
Exactly. Very good. Very good. Perfect. It's that, but it is the conditioning. You're born in a hospital, you get baptized, another system, you get to school, another system. It is the conditioning over generations that makes us not experience human and human. So what we do now, you know, we come from different backgrounds, we come from different races, we're different, not to experience that, but to experience it through a system. And through systems, you and I, you know, it's very rare that would even work because according to system, you know, but it does work. We show that it is working, and it's nothing about the stereotypes. It has nothing to do about the stereotypes. And that's what I'm saying is we have to pull ourselves, and that's why I always say compartmentalize where your focus is right now, why you're feeling what you're feeling, while your life is what it is it because you are faulty? And it says, no, you are not faulty, because as before, you are part of nature, and nature, you exist, and therefore you have worth.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have system value, but you have worth. So therefore, every human being should get food and should have housing, not because
Standard.
lazy people. It should standard, because that will keep the economy going. And by the way, a lot of conservatives say that now. And this is not a political show. I'm just saying, because the beggar on Fifth Avenue, the famous beggar on Fifth Avenue, lives, exists, he shouldn't freeze to death or, feel bad about himself. He needs to see through other women that every human is valuable and has worth because it exists. Doesn't mean you have value in the monopoly system that we play. Mm-hmm. That's a different see, that's the ethical financial coming in. When you still, if you even get a minimum wage and you have a shelter, you can do nothing, which nature knows. Even if you do nothing, you're valuable, you have worth. But now you can start saying, oh, but I don't want to just have the minimum. I want to get a Ferrari. I want to be successful. I want to do the next Amazon. Then you go into the monopoly system, and you start whatever your business you want. I mean, it's the same as now. But now is the problem with now is you're working not to living, you're working to survive. I think we said that before too.
Mm-hmm.
You're working to survive. And therefore, you are under high stress to keep the system working, and not you. When you have a basic income, there's no stress. You say you can survive. And also imagine our potential, what we would do if we don't have the fear that we could end up like a homeless person on Fifth Avenue. Can you imagine?
Or to feel like there's something wrong with them for being in that situation.
Exactly.
Again, great points. Michael, look, I feel what you're saying. The network, it's all about this, right? I did a video a while back, and it ties right into this, and I called it like something like Big D versus Little D, right? The little D is direction. See, that's the thing. Everybody wants direction. That's what leads to acceptance and all this other shit, right? Again, we talked about the codes, the system inputs. Those are the directions, right?
Yeah.
However, the value is not in the direction, but the destination. So see, where is the network going? Where does all the systems attachments, where does all the work, all the stuff they compute, all the worth, all the value they have, where does that go? And that's what you're talking about indirectly, because if you think people will like you because of the money, or because you have this and the next person don't, which is, again, financially related, then you're going to support the monetary system no matter what, all of its atrocities included, because you're trying to be a part of that network, that game. You're trying to rank like it's a video game. And then
the drive that you have. You want to be part of it.
Yeah. And then allowing the freedom for the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness, right?
Yeah.
AKA the standards of living. It actually would promote an increase in innovation, whether it's artistic or technology or whatever. And you brought up some great points, and that's why we're kind of, whether people realize it or not, we're kind of headed towards the universal basic income.
Yeah.
And they've done the testing already, the beta testing the last couple of years with
all over the world.
And everybody stay in the house, right? Because they don't know what that's a beta test for.
Yeah.
But so go ahead, continue that.
I think, yeah, again, but we watch out, because basically the beta tests and all this stuff is done because the humans on the other side see, damn, we're so helpless. We don't know. Let's just throw this on the wall. Let's just throw this on the wall and give them a little income. You know, in Finland, they did that. They did all over the world. But it's not about allowing, you need to pull yourself out. It's not about supporting the system or finding solution that the system stays strong. It is about allowing the humanity that our sons and daughters in 10 generations are able to visit this planet and enjoy their beingness, falling in love, connecting with nature, you know, and having conversation like this, and me, you and me,
being allowed to, yeah,
yeah, and being allowed to, and expanding the expanding human potential, because what we talk is not about how to do whatever system and criticize systems. Systems are necessary, but because we don't have tribes anymore, you know. But I think we always in every context, is this now a system problem? Is this now a human problem? And human and nature, because they're based on living beings, and no system has created a living being, need to have priority. Everything is secondary. Every Nike, Apple, McDonald's, IRS, it needs to be helping each individual to be the best that they can be. Not the best that everybody, not in the comparison sense. See, there we go again. In the system sense, you are compared. In the human sense, you do what you do best. The ant does what the ant does. The elephant does what the elephant does. Mm-hmm. No, and there's no comparison, because they don't compare each other. There's no monetary value, because the only thing why we compare, why you be a system genius in computer, for example, in the system, and I can't even handle a computer, is, and therefore my system value is lower than your value. But you could be a real bad person, and I could be the best person. You know, it's just, it doesn't matter. That's why you see how confused we get, because we're mixing human relevance, human values with system relevance and system values.
I see, everybody see that every day. That like you said, that internal projection ranking system thing, right? This person thinks they're better because they can do it. One thing that I do is I always encourage everybody. There's no difference between any two people, only in capability. Only thing that changes is exposure and experience, and people learn differently. That's the only other part. Somebody might see it done once or twice or 5 times and be able to duplicate it. Another person might have to research for 5 years, but then they can both reach that same plateau. And you know, people get isolated for that reason, because they want to change something, whether it's the world or the quality of the work environment at their job or their relationship. And then people are saying, you can't fight the system. This is the way it is. And you know, you brought up a point earlier about people forget about the people behind the system. And I think that's a really important statement for today and these times, because people are looking at the system like it's this huge mega thing. And they're like, oh man, I'm just this little tiny person, me and you, we can't do nothing against that huge system. And they don't realize that it's just a couple people behind it all.
Exactly.
That's pulling all the strings, that's putting in the plug, and the little electrons go around the circuit and come back out the side. They're trained to do what they do. And that's the drone. And they have drones in between you and them, which may be people or automated systems or algorithms, right? And they're all working together to look at it like this. When electricity, people think electricity goes through a wire, right? You know, it travels on the outside of the magnetic field, but that's another discussion. But for the people that believe that it goes through the wire, the electrons that whole system is designed to keep the electrons captive in the system and control the direction of the flow for the purpose of the orchestrators that plugged in the system. Speak on it. Like, let them know.
And you need the control. You need, if you have, okay. And I always go saying, okay, so why would we need, let's say we should make an system X. You say, hey, let's make that system X. That is the greatest system. And I would ask you, I said, what is the human value and what is the human potential increase if we have that system, if we implement that system? And you say, oh, we make a ton of money. I said, that's a system. So you're supporting, with system X, you're supporting systems. You're not supporting humans.
Right.
And if we can, every human can compartmentalize that. We don't need to do anything else, because the change, once you're aware, it's like once you experience love, you don't have to, it doesn't help you to read all about love when you've never experienced love. And you can read everything. If you've never experienced falling in love or liking something or liking an animal, you can read the whole libraries of what love is and what is falling in love is. It doesn't help you. It's because that's the difference between awareness and knowledge. Knowledge is system defined. It's a little taken out of the human existence, the human potential, taking a little bit out and dissecting it and finding the truth in that. But it is like you're taking the liver, just talking about the liver, but not of the whole system, of the whole organic system.
I agree. And the topic of love is a great example. We got about 6 minutes left here. So I think that's a great example, because the system's going to tell you, hey, you're supposed to love them.
Yeah.
And they're telling you that love is a verb. And then you're running through the system trying to love people, wondering why you're getting all these successes, because success means result.
Yeah.
The reality is love is a noun. And
yeah.
That's where it goes back to what we built this discussion on, which was people trapped in a system don't have time to have the awareness of all the workings of the system, what's behind the system, and everything outside of the system. So they have a very limited view. They have a concise opinion.
Awesome. I love what you said. And I think I'm saying it's the awareness we experience human beings through system. We think that's what human being means. Working hard. I mean, all these things that people say, system defined, being lazy, working hard, being successful, when nobody just tells you what success is, but you got to be successful, become rich. Nobody tells you how 60% of humans work for $5.50, have to live on $5.50 a day. They work 60% of the worldwide workforce has to survive with $5.50 a day. Now you tell me how you do with $5.50, you create wealth. When you work you can't even save anything because you have too little to survive. So we are at the end of that. That's why we need a general income. I'm not for social things or anything. I'm just saying there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things in the human context. I'm not looking ever of right and wrong in the system context, because it can't really be, because we all are different. Everybody is different. And the system can never work with that. Never.
You got to appreciate the whole affinity of it. You're right.
Exactly.
Right and wrong. People talk about right and wrong, and they're always wrong because they don't realize when it would be right when they're talking about it's wrong. So, it's just whatever with that, man. They wasting time. But I mean, you brought up a good point, because the whole thing about success, right? The funniest thing, I remember I did a post or a video about it some years ago, and I was laughing and making a mockery of how one of the biggest songs of that time was Drake. I don't know if you know the artist, Drake.
Yeah.
And you know that song, I just want to be successful, right? And it's everybody's in the clubs and driving down the highway. I just want to be successful. I'm like, these don't know that no matter what you do, it's a success, because the word success simply means result.
Yeah.
So you could fail and that's still your success.
Yeah, you experience life. Everybody, you're successful because you exist.
Exactly, man.
In the system, you can, in the system, you can be successful or not. But that's monopolies, meaning winning in Monopoly or not. But in the human, that's why you need to separate. In the human experience, you are successful because you are here.
Exactly. A lot of people don't get what I'm actually fighting for example. And I hear the undertones of this is why you speak as well, because I think whatever, I don't know, I'm saying I know the perfect solution, but we need to, everybody, that basic level, that basic standard needs to be set for everybody, period.
Yep.
Home, transportation, travel. I don't care if you want to go to Rome, you should be able to get there tomorrow if you want to.
Even if it's public transportation.
To have the experience.
Yeah. I'm not saying you need to fly first class, but you need to be able to go by public transportation from here to Rome. Absolutely.
It should all be, because that's when you actually get to experience who you are. Everything else is some sort of control mechanism to restrict whoever the system puppeteers want to restrict, while allowing the other ones path of least resistance, so to speak. Everybody needs a standard playing field. Closing statements.
I guess we have to do this again, right?
Man, we ain't stopping nothing, man.
This
is amazing.
I mean, because I learned so much when I'm with you. I mean, I've just really learned a lot, and you confirm a lot of thoughts that I have, you know. So I think we have a lot of unveiling to do, not a blaming, but unveiling what's going on, because awareness, when we have awareness, the change happens automatically. The moment you have awareness, you don't need to have 3 steps, 5 steps. You don't have to, you join this group or that ideology and stuff. We can talk about ideology and stuff next time.
Okay.
Hierarchy and ideology and how we separate through that, because oh my God, you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat, or reverse. It's just even the discussion is a waste of time.
You got it right there, big guy. You know, those that know me, I don't do titles simply because, like you said, you mentioned the 2 words earlier, they come with rules and regulations, and I'm just trying to be me, like every other American. So I appreciate you. Well, you know, every other human being. We don't even got to put the title on there around the globe. So I appreciate you for being here tonight. We're gonna close it out. Pasha, Paroh. Make sure you tune back. We're gonna go into hierarchy controls against some more. You know, you see what we're doing here, because this is the time period of Aquarius. The veil must be revealed or removed. Welcome to the new world. All right, Mike.
Thank you. All right.